The courtroom was packed with people, but the quiet within was oppressive. No whispers, no shuffling, just a tension so heavy it seemed to weigh upon everyone's chest. You felt it hanging off the air. In the first row, TLC producers sat rigidly, pens suspended over their notebooks as if they were too frightened to move. Behind them, the members of the Brown family shifted awkwardly. Some were blankly staring straight ahead, others not looking her in the eye. They all sensed the tempest brewing. Christine Brown got up slowly. The screech of her chair against the floor pierced the quiet, much louder than it ought to have been. She smoothed the front of her dark green blouse, not vanity, but like a soldier cinching up armor preparatory to engagement. Her expression was serene, but her hands shook at her sides. It wasn't fear that made them shake. It was anger. Anger hidden under decades of gritted smiles, stifled cries, and the soft "it's okay" deceptions that never were. She moved forward. "Your Honor," she started, her tone low, brittle, nearly fragile. "For over 10 years, I invested in what I was assured was a family trust. A trust for everyone, for the wives, for the kids, for the family." The courtroom leaned forward. A heavy silence hung before Christine's tone tightened, biting as a whip. "But it was a lie," whispers circulated through the room. At the defense table, Robin's mouth opened but remained unuttered. She gripped a tissue clutched in her hand. Next to her, Cody sat rigid, arms crossed, eyes straight ahead like stone. Christine turned toward the jury, her voice rising with every word. "I fed Robin's family," she declared, her words cracking through the air, "while my children survived on scraps." Gasps echoed across the courtroom. Her voice hardened. "That wasn't sisterhood, that was betrayal. And I'm standing here today because no one else would, not in the homes, not on the show, not in this so-called family." The judge's eyebrows shot up, but he remained silent, allowing her words to sear into the stillness. Christine dug into her purse and produced a rumpled, aged scrap of paper. "This," she unfolded with care, "is the original family pact, the one we signed, the one that demanded equal effort, equal rations for each home, each child. That was my understanding, that was what I taught my children, but I was the only one holding up my end." Robin whispered quickly to her lawyer, but her lawyer remained silent, gaze fixed on Christine. Not even Christine's own lawyer cut in. She just let her client talk, knowing this wasn't just testimony, this was a reckoning. Christine's voice remained soft, but her words struck harder. "I'll never forget one evening. My daughter Isabel was crying. In our refrigerator we had nothing but eggs and peanut butter. That was it. I phoned Robin, asked if it was possible to use some of the house fund. She gazed straight at the jury, her jaw clenching. Do you know what she said to me? That she couldn't possibly assist, that her children were fussy eaters. But I had already paid my half 2 days prior. My money was in. My children were to be part of that order." An amazed whisper ran through the gallery. Christine braced herself. That's when I began keeping records. She pulled out a thick box of binders to the plaintiff's table and plopped it down hard. 10 years' worth, she declared. Bank statements, grocery orders, deposit dates, receipts. And every single time, it's the same pattern. My money paid for Robin's groceries. My children did without. And then, at last, Robin lost it. I didn't do anything wrong. I've got younger children. They've got special needs. The judge held up a hand to stop her. You'll have your turn, Miss Brown. Christine didn't even glance in her direction. You kept saying that we needed Robin, she said icily. But I had 6 children and no husband around my table. You had Cody on your couch every night and pantries filled with fresh fruit, meats, the works. Her voice broke, but her tears dried up. My kids thought we were poor, but we weren't. We were neglected. For the first time, TLC producers, silent witnesses in the front row, witnessed Christine telling her truth unapologetically. Shoulders set back, she met the judge's gaze. This isn't about money. This is about fairness. about whether kids get to eat, about promises made and broken. I didn't come here to ruin anyone. I came here because the people I love were better than that. The judge nodded gravely. Christine let out a breath deep as she settled into the chair, lighter, maybe, than she'd been in years. Robin twitched, playing with the tissue in her hand. Cody still wouldn't raise his head, but the tension still hung, her words hanging like smoke after flames. The judge pushed his glasses up his nose, aware the room hadn't had breath since she took the seat. Evidence time was now. Christine's lawyer, Rachel Vance, stood up quietly and pointed to the thick binders piled high on the table. Your Honour, the plaintiff introduces Exhibit A, more than 10 years of documented history. Payments, grocery receipts, online purchases, family budgets, all carefully maintained. She clicked a remote. At her back, a huge spreadsheet illuminated the courtroom screen. Between 2013 and 2021, Christine Brown donated between $600 and $1,000 a month. Every payment is documented, every deposit noted. And the account they went to? Rachel took a pause for effect. Robin Brown's. Gasps ran through the courtroom. Cody shifted uncomfortably, eyes scanning. Rachel clicked again. A bar graph materialized. Over 8 years, there were 128 grocery orders. Of those, only 7 were ever delivered to Christine's doorstep. The ensuing silence was suffocating. Rachel clicked again. Side-by-side images covered the screen. To the left, Robin's pantry, shelves full of labelled containers, organic snacks, vitamins, meats. To the right, Christine's fridge, almost bare. Half a stick of butter, a bottle of bargain ketchup, some eggs. The following photos showed freezers. Robin's, filled with salmon, meats, fruit. Christine's, nothing but freezer-burned chicken legs and a bag of frozen vegetables pitched inside like garbage. The contrast was striking, and at that moment, no one in the courtroom could help but see the truth. Rachel swung back around to Christine with a quick but important question. Are you sure these are real photos? Christine shook her head immediately. I took them both the same day, 2 houses, the same grocery fund, but my refrigerator never showed the money I put in. Hers did. Rachel stood before the jury directly. This isn't jealousy. It's about balance. Christine felt she was making an investment in a system shared by all, one designed to nourish every table equally. Her investments went to stock the pantry of another woman, while her own children asked why dinner continued to dwindle, why there was a need to ration milk. A juror wiped away tears. The tension in the room was thick with sorrow and incredulity. Rachel moved on to the next slide. Exhibit B. On the screen was Christine's Venmo and PayPal record, more than 100 transactions, tagged household fund or groceries. All of them payments tracked into Robin's accounts. The figures worked out, the receipts were correct, but the delivery addresses spoke the true tale. Rachel stopped, then unfolded a map plastered with pins. 95% of these deliveries were to one house, Robin's, a few to Mary or Janelle, less than 5% to Christine. The gallery hummed. Cody slumped back in his chair and let out a long sigh, relieving the tension for just an instant. Finally, Robin spoke. Her tone was gentle but shaking with defense of herself. I had the youngest children. That's why I ordered more. They needed lunches, snacks. I wasn't hoarding anything. Christine is just being dramatic. Rachel moved forward, assertive but even. So you're saying you used a communal fund to feed your own children in particular? Robin stalled. Well, I wasn't really keeping count. But you ordered the orders. You arranged the deliveries? Rachel insisted. Robin nodded the slightest amount. Rachel let the silence hang before attacking. And yet, 10 years on, Christine, who put nearly half the cash into it, got just 7 grocery deliveries. Robin remained silent. Then Rachel played an audio recording. The courtroom was filled with voices. Christine's voice, tired but resolute. Hey, I saw the Costco order. Was any of that for our house? Robin's response, matter of fact, "No, sorry. I needed to order extra this week. The kids are guzzling everything. Next time I'll grab you something." Christine's voice once again. 5 months is how long it's been since we've gotten anything. Robin, "Yeah, I know, but this order was needed." The sound faded. Silence engulfed the room. Those words, "Yeah, I know, but this order was needed," echoed in everyone's minds. Christine stood up again, displaying a screenshot of a text conversation. Christine, "May I have my grocery portion this week?" Robin's reply, "Order already placed. Sorry, next cycle maybe." Christine's voice was shaking. There was no next cycle. I began making bread, not because I chose to, but because I couldn't afford a loaf. My children went to school without fruit, and my money stocked another person's pantry. Rachel stood before the jury again. This is not a tantrum. This is not spite. This is calculated exploitation. The family trust was predicated upon trust that Robin would share equitably. She did not. And when Christine asked why, she was offered excuses. The lawyer glided slowly along the jury box. Her tone was tranquil but biting. Robin was left in charge of both money and trust itself, and she exploited both. While her children had almond-crusted chicken and fruit smoothie blenders, Christine's children picked mold off cheese and were instructed, "Just a few more days until payday." Robin leapt up suddenly, voice cracking. "I was doing my best." The judge's eyebrow arched. "Sit down, Mrs. Brown. You'll have your chance." His eyes shifted toward the second row, where Christine's children sat quietly. Their faces said what no testimony could: grief, exhaustion, memories of hunger. Rachel's voice eased but cut deeper. "This isn't about food. It's about what the food symbolized: love, fairness, dignity. And for years those things were denied to one half of this family while the other had seconds." Christine didn't move, eyes on the jury. No tears were shed. She didn't require them. The testimony had been louder than any crying would have been. But before the room had a chance to think it had heard enough, the judge coughed. "The court will next hear from the plaintiff's next witness, Miss Gwendolyn Brown." A buzz of whispering spread through the gallery. Storm, pre-storm. Gwen stood up. Grey blazer, black pants, no makeup, no adornments. Simple but solid. Christine eyed her daughter with discreet pride. Gwen did not glance back. Her eyes flew immediately to Robin. Once sworn in, Rachel started off. "Gwendolyn, state to the court your relationship to the plaintiff." "I'm her daughter," she replied with no hesitation, "one of Christine Brown's 6 kids. "And you're 23 now, right? While your mum was contributing to the grocery fund, were you residing with her?" "Yes, from childhood until college breaks." Rachel leaned forward. "Did you observe anything different about the food in your home during those years?" Gwen emitted a dry, humorless laugh. "Yeah, I guessed we didn't have any." Laughter ran through the courtroom, even from the judge, before the gravity took hold again. Gwen's tone became stronger. "I just thought we were poor. Supper was normally what could be stretched out: rice, frozen corn, peanut butter on bread. That was normal for us. But then I'd spend the night over at Robin's place." She shook her head. "It was like Costco had blown up in her kitchen." Rachel raised an eyebrow. "Tell me." "Everything," Gwen replied bluntly. "Name brands: organic cereal, yogurt, juice boxes, Lunchables, rotisserie chicken, frozen meals piled high, snacks like a corner store. Her pantry looked like she was feeding 20 people. The courtroom fell silent once more. "And did you know your mother was also helping to pay for that grocery budget?" Gwen nodded resolutely. "I saw the transfers myself, hundreds of dollars. One was $800 labeled grocery share, but we never received a single box from that order, not a single one." Her eyes darted briefly towards Robin. "Once she even said to me there wasn't enough to go around this time, but somehow there was always enough for her house." Rachel leaned forward. "Did you ever have a direct conversation with Robin about this?" "Yes, I was around 17. I'd been taking care of her at her house and asked to take some snacks home. Her answer? Gwen's jaw clenched. Those are for my kids. The courtroom gasped as if slapped. Christine looked down, biting her lip so hard she was sure she was going to break. Rachel's voice softened once more. And when you told your mother? She said it was fine, said we had enough. But we didn't. She knew we didn't. She just didn't want to cause another fight. She kept hoping that being nice would change something. Rachel then displayed a text conversation between mother and daughter. Gwen. Mom, we don't have enough to eat. I'm sick of leftovers that are 3 days old. Christine. I know, I'm sorry. I've already sent money to Robin. Next week I'll try again. Rachel spoke to the jury in conclusion. Even Christine's own children saw the injustice up close. This was not kept secret. It was borne in silence for too long. And then, just as the weight of that reality fell, the actual storm was about to get underway, Rachel's voice cut through the silence. Miss Brown, she asked Gwen, did Robin ever deliberately leave your family out of a grocery order? Gwen nodded, her voice steady. Yes, once. I'll never forget it. Thanksgiving 2018. The jury leaned forward. I was babysitting Robin's house when she ordered, Gwen went on. I sat there while she read off everything. 2 turkeys, 2 hams, cases of soda, 8 pies, stuffing, potatoes, cider, food for an army. Gwen's voice grew cold. And what did we have at our house that year? Turkey lunch meat slices. The room burst out in gasps. Rachel's voice cut. And when you asked why your mother wasn't coming? She said to me, your mum's not sponsoring this year. Gwen took a big breath. But my mum had contributed to that fund. She even sent more money, thinking Robin was stressed out. But she wasn't stressed out. She was selfish. Robin jumped up, tears streaming. I did the best I could. I never meant to hurt anybody. The judge thumped his gavel once, the crack echoing like thunder. Another outburst, Mrs. Brown, and you will be in contempt. Robin slumped back into her chair, red-faced. Gwen gazed at her for a moment before continuing, her voice softer now. I don't hate her. I just wish she would respect us. Rachel's last question hit hard. If you could tell Robin one thing in this courtroom at the moment, what would it be? Gwen swallowed hard, then said in a clear voice, You treated us like second-string kids. You took money that was supposed to go around and used it just on your kids. I know what you did. My brothers and sisters know. And someday, yours will. And when they ask you why, I hope you can give an answer. The courtroom came to a standstill. Silence, only the heavy burden of her words. The jury shifted, visibly shaken. Christine sobbed softly into her handkerchief. Gwen descended from the witness stand, and although no one applauded, the empathy in the gallery was unmistakable. The evidence was no longer in the spreadsheets and receipts. Now it had a face, a voice, a daughter bearing the wounds of a betrayal that spanned a decade. The judge adjourned for lunch. Outside, reporters mobbed. Gwen made a quick statement that rippled through headlines. I didn't do this to punish anybody. I did it to speak the truth. My mother sacrificed everything and was treated like nothing. I couldn't keep quiet any longer. Inside, Robin sat in dumbfounded silence, because she knew what was going to happen next. The proof was undeniable, and Christine was no longer alone. When court resumed, the mood had changed. Gwen's testimony hung around like smoke still, but Christine's lawyers were not done. Far from it. Rachel Vance stepped back into the courtroom centre once more, this time clutching a manila folder like it held dynamite, her voice cut. Your Honour, we now offer what is perhaps the most incriminating piece of information in this whole case, Exhibit C. The projector screen came to life, illuminating a scanned paper. Rachel spoke to the jury. This is the original family grocery agreement, dated May 2nd, 2013, signed by 4 women, Mary Brown, Janelle Brown, Christine Brown, and Robin Brown. The court's camera zoomed in on a red circle surrounding one specific clause. Rachel read it aloud. Clause 5. Funds will be collected every month. The appointed grocery coordinator, Robin Brown, will spread provisions and essentials equally based on the number of children in each family. Every child will be equal no matter whose wife they are. There it was, black and white, signed by Robin herself. The courtroom descended into stunned quiet. Christine gazed at the screen, fingers clenched. Cody massaged his temples behind Robin, eyes tired and defeated. Robin herself was pale, somehow smaller, clearly crumbling under the pressure of her own autograph. The judge leaned over his glasses. "Mrs. Brown, was this signed of your own free will?" Rachel nodded resolutely. "Yes, Your Honour. In fact, there was testimony that the Browns had a family meeting prior to signing. Robin was selected as grocery coordinator because she already did most of the online shopping." Christine agreed, thinking the system would be equitable. Rachel's tone turned more acidic. But in place of fairness, Robin redirected more than 70% of grocery orders to her own home. This wasn't favoritism. It was breach of contract, breach of trust, and breach of family. Then came the coup de grace. Rachel set up a video clip from Sister Wives 2015. On the screen, Robin smiled at Christine in the kitchen and uttered, "We've all agreed. I'll do the grocery ordering since I have the time. Don't worry, I'll make sure everyone's taken care of." The clip ran out. There was silence pressing down like a weight. Rachel addressed Robin. She spoke in an icy tone. "You stared into that camera, vowed on your honour, and then lied." "Objection!" Robin's lawyer exclaimed. "Emotional manipulation, Your Honour." The judge's eyebrows arched. "Overruled. Mrs. Brown, you may respond." Robin stood up slowly, her voice weak. "I didn't keep track. I did at first, but things got out of hand. The stress, the kids, the show." Rachel interrupted her. "So your defence is that you forgot to feed half the family?" "No!" Robin exclaimed, trembling. "I never meant to harm anyone. I assumed Christine would say something if something were amiss." Christine's voice, soft but biting, wafted across the courtroom. "I did. You just didn't hear me." Rachel clicked once more. The screen filled with a calendar colour-coded. Years of history bare. Christine's monthly payments indicated in red, deliveries to Robin in green, deliveries to Christine in yellow. The page was almost solid green, only 7 yellows among an ocean of red. "This wasn't a haphazard arrangement," Rachel explained to the jury. "This was a signed agreement, a vow to ensure no child went hungry, and Robin Brown violated it over and over during 10 years. The defence attempted one final lifeline. "Your Honour, this was a spiritual understanding, not a legal one. My client did the best she could in chaotic circumstances." The judge slouched forward. "Perhaps, but where money is concerned, where there are signatures on paper, those promises count for something." The defence attorney dropped back into his seat, looking defeated. Rachel wasn't done. She picked up another paper. "And lastly, Exhibit D." It was an email, 2016, from Robin to Christine. Rachel read it aloud. "Hi Christine, heads up. I needed to use this month's grocery fund for extra homeschooling supplies and pantry stock. I'll catch up your household on the next cycle." Rachel looked up, her gaze steady on Robin. The jury was already whispering. The blow had landed. The courtroom was tight with tension, every eye fixed on the foreperson as she rose, shaking hands. The judge posed the question everyone had been waiting days to hear. "Has the jury reached a unanimous verdict?" Her voice did not shake. "We have, Your Honour." The room plunged into a silence so acute that it could cut. When the judge unfolded the verdict and started to read, the world seemed to suspend its breath. "In the matter of Brown versus Brown, we hold for the plaintiff, Christine Brown." There were gasps in the courtroom, but Christine herself did not cheer, did not smile. Rather, she merely breathed. A great quivering sigh, as if she had been submerged all these years and had at last emerged into the air. Tears pricked at her eyes, but did not fall. The judge went on. Robin was instructed to pay damages of $32,000 and issue a written official apology. His tone was stern. Intent does not rid you of consequence. You signed a contract, and you violated it. Robin covered her face with her hands. Cody moved in close, but not with sympathy, with anger. His tone was husky, biting. You could have repaired this a long time ago. The courtroom recessed, but outside the tempest was just getting started. The courthouse steps swarmed with reporters, microphones thrust forward, cameras flashing. Christine left the courthouse with her daughters beside her, not vanquished, but aglow. When she spoke, her voice rang over the din. I did not come here to hurt anyone. I came to speak for my children, for the truth, and for every woman who has ever been told to stay small. Her words landed like a bolt of lightning. She addressed the cameras and included, to all the women who've ever been asked to take less, while someone else took more, you deserve better. I see you, I was you, and you are enough. The crowd erupted, the web went wild, and Christine, for the first time in decades, wasn't the shadow wife. She was the voice of every woman ever silenced. That evening, headlines flashed across every corner of the web. Christine wins big. Court rules in favor of grocery fund abuse victim. Robin Brown ordered to pay damages. Cuts from the trial went viral on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Gwen's testimony went viral in millions of views overnight. Christine's post-verdict address was shared by empowerment groups around the globe. Admiringly, she referred to it as the day Christine reclaimed her power. 2 weeks later, Christine shared a straightforward photo. Her kids at the dinner table, smiling, helping themselves to food. The caption, a mere 5 words. This time, we ate first. Robin's apology letter, court-ordered and mortifyingly late, went public. It expressed regret, but for Christine's children, the harm was already done. Christine's journey, however, was just getting underway. She began to speak on women's rights panels, appeared on podcasts, and wrote a book, More Than Enough. Not a tell-all, but a manual to economic equity and taking back power. And the Browns? Their empire came crashing down. Trust among the wives was broken, TLC ceased production, and Cody Brown, the former proud patriarch, stood alone amidst the wreckage of silence and abandonment. But Christine, she left with something irreplaceable, not a legal win, not money. She left with her voice, and she was never relinquishing it again.